Hey, welcome back to Guitar Discoveries. Glad to have you with me today. I am holding in my arms this beautiful pre-1900 Martin guitar. This is an 028. It dates from somewhere between 1867 and 1885. We don't know the exact date because there is no indication of the specific date anywhere on this guitar. It does have a stamp on the back that says C.F. Martin and Company, New York, which helps the experts date this to this particular period. So this was a guitar. It's an X-brace guitar. And that means that even though it was built in the pre-steel string era, it is perfectly capable of handling the stress of steel strings. And that's fortunate because I've had this strung with steel strings since I inherited it back in 1985. But what would this guitar have sounded like back in the 1860s or 70s when it was built? This was really built in the Spanish style. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. Stick around. Let's hear what this thing sounds like when it's brought back to its original glory. So I've had this strung with steel strings for over 35 years, and I've enjoyed every minute of that. It has an incredible tonality. I'll play a little bit so you can hear what this thing sounds like. So why would I want to make this sound different? It sounds great. Well, part of the reason is because I have a number of steel string guitars that serve similar purposes when I'm recording, playing, etc. So I thought it'd be fun to take this guitar and bring it back to its more classical roots. Guitars in the 1840s through 1900 none of them were strung with steel strings because those didn't exist yet. They were strung with gut strings, which today we use nylon as basically the equivalent or a similar tone. And it puts a lot less stress on the neck. I mean, I think on this guitar it'll be something like 30 to 40 pounds less of stress on the neck. That's got to be a nice break for a guitar of this age. Certainly this guitar plays like a classical. It has a pretty flat neck. It has this really nice V shape to the back that allows your hand to just kind of nestle in beautifully. And it's a wide neck. It's actually structured very much like a classical guitar of today. So I think, why not bring this back to its classical roots? When C.F. Martin did the original X-bracing in around 1840, there was a very famous woman of the time. People call her Madame de Gournay. I'm sure it was actually Madame de Gournay because she was born in Spain, then moved to France, and came to the United States in the early 1840s and was a huge sensation. Here was the Spanish woman who could play guitar like an angel and apparently was a very, very impressive player. She's known as one of the greatest guitarists you've never heard of. So Madame de Gournay was, of course, playing gut strings. And so that's one of the things. I watched this video recently of Chris Martin talking about this Madame de Gournay. They've actually built a guitar now. It's modeled exactly after the one that C.F. Martin, the original C.F. Martin, built for Madame de Gournay. And they're selling this thing for about 13 grand. So going back to the roots of Martin and the original X-bracing, Madame de Gournay fell in love with her Martin guitar and claimed that it was better than any of the Spanish-made guitars of the era. So let's do a little surgery on this. Let's change to nylon strings. and let's see what we think. One of the key things with these vintage Martins is that they actually have bridge pins. So you need a ball end nylon string. It's not like a typical classical guitar where you actually do a little winding around the bridge post. So I purchased these D'Addario Folk nylon strings. They are silver plated wound. They're black nylon, which should be kind of cool against the ebony fingerboard. And they say this is a traditional nylon tone. Their desire was to get as close to a gut string sound as possible. So I thought this would be a good type of string to use for this. So let's change them up. This is actually cool. D'Addario has put these little stickers on the strings now that say E and sixth, for example. That's pretty cool. It makes it easy. There's such a softness to this when you're used to using all steel strings. You can really feel, and you can even see the way it sort of hangs loose because it's got that probably silk on the inside. Nylon strings have so much play that you really, really need to stretch, 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 stretch. So I'm going to come back in half an hour, and then we're going to play it because right now it's going to be pulling out of tune like crazy. And if we just give it a half hour to relax and stretch out, we should be able to tune and not have any issues. All right, strung up Madame Dugoni style. Wow. Let's go back to Mood for a Day for a second and just play a little bit of that so you can hear the difference now. I'm not a classical guitarist by any means, so forgive me for the mistakes, but you get the idea. I do have an appreciation for it. Let's do a little something that Madame Dugoni would be proud of. Oh, this thing is very sweet. It does kind of make me feel like I'm channeling that Spanish vibe from that period. Has a really nice attack and bite to it. Very excited about that. In honor of C.F. Martin, his X-bracing, Madame de Gogny, I'm really happy to have this back to its 1800 standards. Gonna have a lot of fun with this thing. Good to have a classical guitar back in the family. So if you appreciate historic guitars, interesting tips and tricks, and just generally fun with the guitar, you can go over to the GuitarDiscoveries.com website and find all the videos there along with a lot of my music. And it means a lot to me that you come and spend time with me in these guitar discoveries. So please do subscribe and click the bell so you're notified whenever new videos come out. Look forward to catching you next time. Thanks. See you soon.